The wind presses its palms against the broken window pane. And you know, older than a trap, your aching fingers around a soot-blackened brick, still warm from the kill. In the shadowed hush of a narrow alley, your boots are 2 sizes too small, your belly louder than your voice. A bell tolls in the distant church or factory, it hardly matters. Your days begin and end in smoke. Somewhere above, a carriage rolls by its velveted passengers, unaware of the child sleeping beneath their wheels. A quote drifts in. Childhood should be a time of joy, yet ours was paid in dust and silence. What did it mean to grow up where innocence had no place to hide? If this story stirs something quiet in your chest, stay a while. Tell me, could you have held on to wonder in a world that forgot you were a child? The frost crept down the cellar walls in long silver veins, glistening like cobwebs spun by ghosts. Your breath hovered above your lips, a pale wisp of warmth in a room where warmth had long since surrendered. Somewhere in the shadows, one of your siblings stirred blankets, rustling like dry leaves, the sound lost in the hush of dawn. Then came the bell, not a church bell, not a call to prayer or peace, but the harsh clang of the workhouse iron, echoing through the alleyways like a cruel alarm clock for the unwanted. Its voice was flat and unfeeling, slicing the early stillness in 2. You did not cry, because crying wastes heat. You simply moved, as you always did, through a morning that was not yours to savor. If this world settles into your bones like cold, into stone, stay a while. Subscribe to this story's breath and rhythm, and share your thoughts below. Tell me, could you have risen to such a bell day after day, and still called yourself a child? You wake not with a yawn, but with a shiver. The air is stiff with damp, clinging to your skin like wet cloth. Burlap blankets scratch against your knees as you slide out from beneath them, careful not to wake the youngest curled up like a sparrow in the crook of your mother's arm. Though she's more shadow than figure now, worn thin by hunger and nights without sleep, she still holds him as if warmth could be conjured from will alone. The cellar you call home is carved beneath. A crumbling tenement, a space meant for coal or forgotten tools, not 7 souls trying to remember how to dream. The walls are stone, weeping moisture from yesterday's rain. A single oil lamp flickers weakly from a nail in the timber beam. Its light makes halos of the dust in the air. Your bare feet press against the cold-packed dirt, a silence stretching. In your mind as you dress, your shirt smells of ash and soap long spent, your trousers stitched with patches from neighbors who owed favors. The shoes, if you can call them that, belonged to someone older, someone dead. You suspect how they slip as you walk, the soles worn smooth by 100 forgotten steps. You climb the stairs like a whisper. Outside, the city is just waking, if it ever truly sleeps. Fog snakes through the cobbled streets, like breath escaping the lungs of London herself. The gas lamps flicker in the murk, casting halos on puddles slick with coal dust. Then again, the bell. Its tone is deeper now, closer. A signal to those who serve the empire, not through wealth, but through their silence. It marks the beginning of a day you already know by heart. A cart rumbles by its wheels creaking, horse hooves splashing through something more liquid than water. Inside, crates of raw cotton and tobacco from distant colonies, carried not by men like you, but by children like you. You pass a boy half your size, hauling a bucket bigger than his chest, and he does not look up. You pass a girl with eyes as grey as chimney smoke, and she does not smile. You do not speak, because morning in your world has no room for pleasantries. Soon you arrive at the gate of the workhouse school. Iron bars taller than your hopes, with rust chewing at their roots. Behind them, the building stands like a monument to charity's cold cousin discipline. The bricks are soot-streaked, the windows too small for light to matter inside. The warmth is deceptive. The classroom smells of ink and old milk. The floor is uneven, and the desks are little more than splintered benches. You squeeze onto one between a boy who never talks and a girl who never blinks. The teacher enters without a word, her boots clicking like clock hands across the floor. The lesson begins. Your slate is cracked in one corner, your chalk no longer than a matchstick. You trace letters you will not use, sounding out words that don't belong in your life. Cathedral, harvest, gentleman. You spell bread 3 times without realizing. Your stomach reminds you it's empty. It growls quietly, like a dog too tired to bark. Someone passes out from hunger before noon. No one says anything. The teacher pauses, steps over him, and continues the lesson. At break, you chew a crust of yesterday's crust. A boy beside you digs for crumbs between the floorboards. Another offers half of a cold boiled potato wrapped in paper. You trade. Hymn your silence for it. Back inside, the windows have fogged with breath. Someone near the back begins to cough a dry, rasping thing that rattles through the room. He's small, younger than you. His hands shake. You think he won't be back tomorrow, but you will. You always are, because this is the bell that woke you. The one that tells you life has begun again in the shape of survival. And for now, that must be enough. The door creaks open like a sigh long held. Inside, the air is thick with a strange mix of chalk dust and damp wall scents that settle into your lungs and never quite leave. You step across the threshold of the ragged school, where the walls lean inward as if they too are tired of standing. Light slants in through narrow windows, but it has to fight its way past grime and city soot. This is where learning is handed. Out like porridge thin, often cold, and never quite enough. You take your place on a wooden bench, splintered and uneven. It groans beneath you. The girl beside you clutches a slate to her chest, like it's something precious, though the corner is chipped and her chalk is worn to a nub. There are no desks, just knees for tables and fingers that tremble from cold, or hunger, or both. At the front, the teacher enters. She is not cruel, but she has been broken. Her hair is pinned tight, her voice tighter still. When she speaks, the words fall like nails, clipped, sharp, efficient. She says your name wrong. She says everyone's name wrong. It doesn't matter. On the blackboard, she draws a single word, grace. You copy it onto your slate, the letters shaky. You don't know what it means. In your world, grace is a footstep you never heard coming. A hand that didn't strike. A night without rain leaking through the ceiling. A cough cuts through the room. It comes from a boy near the back, thin as fence wire, cheeks hollow. He coughs again and again. It's not the kind of cough that leaves. It settles in, like the dust, like the hunger. You try not to look, but it's hard not to. His fingers are blue at the tips. His shoes are mismatched, one adult-sized boot, one child's slipper. You wonder who gave them to him, or if he took them off a body. The teacher slaps her ruler on the table. Silence returns, brittle and strained. You return to your letters, Giara, but your hand cramps halfway through. You curl it beneath your armpit, trying to draw heat from your own skin. Outside the window, a group of boys race past in the street. They aren't going to school. They're going to sweep chimneys or shine boots or scavenge through dust heaps for bones and rags. You wonder which path is better. Here, you're learning letters you may never use. There, they're learning pain. You already know. The lesson shifts. Arithmetic, now. Numbers that do not feed you. Addition that does not add warmth. The teacher scribbles sums you cannot solve. You stare at the chalkboard and think of bread, of warm milk, of a bed where your toes don't hang off the end. At midday, you are handed a tin bowl with something grey inside. It's called soup. It smells like salt and boiled regret. You eat every drop. Someone spills theirs. The teacher does not yell. She simply takes the bowl away and moves on. That child does not eat today. In the afternoon, you read from a torn primer. The pages are soft from too many hands. The ink is faded. You sound out the words, but they don't feel real. Mother, hearth, garden, doll. You've seen none of these, except mother. But even she feels like a ghost in the daylight. Your thoughts drift, as they often do, toward escape. Not from the building, but from the weight of it all. You imagine a world where the teacher smiles, where the benches don't hurt, where chalk is plentiful and warm bread is passed around like books. You close your eyes for just a moment, and in that space, you are somewhere else, but the ruler taps your knuckles. Hard enough to sting. You open your eyes and offer no excuse. No one ever does. The light outside fades early. The sky is low and grey, as if the sun has forgotten this part of the city. You rise from your bench, your back stiff, your fingers chalk-dusted and trembling. The teacher calls roll as you leave. Half the names are met with silence. Some have moved on, some are sick. Some are gone in the way children go when the city decides they're no longer useful. You don't ask what happened. You never do. As you step outside, the cold kisses your cheeks with sharp lips. You pull your coat tighter. It's not really yours, just something you found draped over a fence weeks ago. It's missing buttons. You hold it shut with a bit of twine. The boy who coughed doesn't come out behind you. You wait a moment. Nothing. You wonder if he'll be back tomorrow. But for now, you walk on, slate tucked beneath your arm, lessons echoing in your head. Words like grace and mother and bread, floating in a city that has little use for any of them. The wind tastes of coal and old iron as you step out into the street. It curls around your neck like a thief's hand, cold and sharp, tugging at the frayed collar of your coat. Beneath your mismatched shoes, the cobblestones rise like knuckles in a clenched fist, a negotiation between pain and forward motion. You are no longer in school, but the lesson continues. These streets teach with no mercy, and their curriculum is survival. The sun does not shine, here it lurks. Thin light filters through the smoke-hung sky, casting everything in a sickly pewter sheen. Above, laundry flaps like surrender flags from the upper windows. Below, the gutters gurgle with runoff and worse. You step over a dead rat with its tail still twitching and wonder what it ate last. The alleyways are arteries of a sick city, pulsing with footsteps, voices, the clatter of carts. Children flow through them like water spilled from a cracked pail. Desperate, you move with them, though you are alone. Not because you want to be, but because companionship can slow you down. Today, like every day, you walk until you find work or until work finds you. There's a butcher's boy hauling a wooden crate up a slick hill. He needs help. You offer your hands. He nods, grunts, then walks away when it's done. No coin, no thanks. But your arms are warmer from the weight. You pass a baker's window. Inside, Loaves rise golden and glowing, a small sun behind glass. Your stomach growls loud enough to echo. A girl beside you presses her nose to the pane and fogs the glass with her breath. She smiles, then walks away. You wonder if the smile was for the bread or the warmth. A constable rounds the corner. You do not run, but you do disappear. Around a barrel, into a narrow lane, behind a curtain of hanging linens. Your heart pounds, not from guilt, but from knowledge. The law does not protect you. It forgets you, and when it remembers, it rarely brings anything good later. In a quieter street, where the buildings lean toward one another like gossiping old men, you pause to catch your breath. A group of boys play marbles in the dirt. One waves you over. You crouch beside them, and for a brief moment, there is no hunger, no cold, just the soft click of glass against glass, the grit beneath your fingers, the laughter you almost remember how to join. But playtime ends when the older boy appears. He wears a scarf tied like a badge and eyes too sharp for his age. He demands the marbles. They don't argue. You don't either. He takes, and then he's gone. The boy beside you shrugs. Could have been worse, he mutters. And maybe it could. You help a flower seller lift her basket. You shine a boot for a halfpenny. You run errands for a fishmonger with blood under. His nails, your fingers numb, your legs burn, your eyes sting. The city does not let you rest. It chews, always. You stop near the bridge as dusk settles. The Thames groans beneath its weight of ships and secrets. Smoke from the riverboats coils upward, thickening the sky. Men shout in cockneyed tones, unloading crates from places you've only ever read about in the ragged school books, Bombay, Calcutta, Jamaica. It all smells of salt and rum and distance. A boy beside you picks pockets. He's quick, he's good. You watch, but you do not try. Not today, not yet. You are still holding on to something. A rule, a line, a hope. You don't know what to call it, but it keeps you just this side of desperation. Night falls without ceremony. Gas lamps hiss to life, their glow diffused by soot and drizzle. The shadows grow longer, fuller. Danger blooms in doorways and behind carts. You pass a woman with bare feet and bruises on her arms. She hums a lullaby to no child in particular. You slip into a narrow alley between two pubs, where the drunk and the desperate blur into one. You crouch beneath a staircase, knees to chest, and rest your head against the bricks. The stone is damp, but you've known worse. In your pocket you count your earnings to farthings and a bent copper. Not enough for bread, but enough to matter. You close your eyes for a moment. Someone nearby coughs. Someone else laughs. A man screams, then nothing. This city never sleeps. But you do, eventually. You must. Because tomorrow, the street will rise again beneath your blistered feet. And you will walk it. Because you must. The morning is grey with drizzle, but it is not cold, today not truly. The sky hangs low like wet cloth, and the air carries the thick, smoky breath of chimneys newly stoked. It is a rare Sunday, which means no workhouse bells, no lessons in the ragged school, no errands shouted from market stalls. Just stillness, or what passes for it in your world. You sit on a crate outside the cellar door, your knees drawn close to your chest. Beside you, your brother crouches on the cobblestones, a sliver of wood held between his fingers. His tongue pokes from the corner of his mouth as he carves, slow and steady, with the blade he keeps hidden in his boot. The knife is dull, and his hands are cracked from soot and soap. but he works with the quiet patience of someone building something sacred. You watch in silence. His fingers shape a figure from the scrapped two arms, a round head, a rough curve. That might one day be a horse. It is not beautiful, not yet, but you feel something stir in your chest, not joy, not quite, but something close. Around you, the street is quieter than usual. The coal men have come and gone already, leaving black trails across the pavement. The baker's boy whistles as he delivers loaves to fine for your family. A woman with a wrinkled shawl sells violets from a cart, her song thin and warbling in the damp air. You take the carved toy in your hand. It is small, rough-edged, and lovely. You run your thumb over the wood's grain, still warm from his hands. It's a knight, he says, not looking up, on a horse, like the stories. No, Dee, you do not ask which stories. You do not say you've never seen a real knight, nor a real horse, not up close. But now, in your palm, you hold one. Your brother smiles, rare, crooked, fleeting. He only smiles like that on Sundays, and only when he's not thinking too hard. About Monday later, you play a game, just the two of you. The knight rides over the edge of the crate, battles a dragon drawn in coal dust on the wall, rescues a princess made of straw. You build towers from broken bricks. You give voices to the characters, soft and secret, so no one will hear. It is pretend, and pretend is precious. The others watch from inside the cellar. Your mother wraps the baby in a coat that once belonged to your father. Your younger sister fingers a torn bit of ribbon like it might turn to silk if she wills it hard enough. They don't play, not anymore, but they watch, and that is its own kind of tenderness. Your brother winces as he bends forward, clutching his side. The movement is small, but you notice. His shirt lifts, and you glimpse the bandage already stained. You look away. He doesn't like to talk about the factory, about the gears that caught him, about the finger that never grew back. Instead, he takes the wooden knight from your hand and fits it into a hollow brick with care, a tiny stable, a resting place. Then he stands and brushes his knees. It's time, he says, though he does not say for what. You both know the day's silence will not last. Soon, your mother will ask him to fetch something from the shop, a bit of flour, or a candle stub, or a strip of salt pork if the coppers stretch. Soon, the church bells will chime and remind everyone that Sunday, too, has rules. But for now, for just one more minute, you hold on to the toy, the night, the story. Even in a world of soot and hunger, even among blisters and bruises, the game matters, because when the work begins, again when the chimney caws, when the needle pricks, when the factory breathes its smoke into your lungs, you will remember the night, and you will know that once you had a moment, a world, even if it was carved from splinters. The morning is colder than the last. It arrives without ceremony, sliding beneath doorframes and coiling into your lungs before you've even opened your eyes. Your bones ache with the kind of tired that sleep cannot mend. Somewhere outside, a rooster crows, but it's not for you. The rooster belongs to another world. Yours belongs to soot. The knock comes just as the light begins to shift through the cracks in the ceiling. A sharp rap against the cellar door. Not a request, a summons. The master has come, and you've been chosen. There is no breakfast, only a swig of water from a tin cup and your mother's hands rubbing a smear of goose fat across your shoulders. Her palms tremble. The fat smells rancid, but it is all that will keep the soot from clawing too deep into your skin. She does not speak. There are no good words for this. Outside, the cart waits. The master gives you a glance, up and down, as if weighing whether your size will serve. You are smaller than most. That is why you were chosen. That is always why. He lifts you with one hand, sets you into the back with the brushes and rags, then climbs aboard. The ride is short but jostling. The sky is pale, the streets nearly empty. Chimney pots rise like broken teeth against the skyline. London breathes out smoke as it always does, unaware or uncaring of who keeps its lungs clean. The house is fine. A townhouse with brass door handles and flower boxes in the windows. The kind of house where children wear lace and have dolls with painted cheeks. You will never see them. You are not meant to. Inside, the maid leads you to the hearth. She does not meet your eye. She lights a candle and offers no warning before lifting the grate. The flue stretches above you, narrow, black, crooked like a winding throat. You feel it in your chest, the pull of fear. But fear is not useful here. The master kneels and tucks the brush into your hand. Don't get stuck, he says. Then he shoves. The shaft swallows you whole. Inside, it is pitch and silence and soot. The world becomes a coffin stood on end. Your knees scrape brick. Your elbows knock against crevices worn smooth by other children, some still alive, some not. You hold your breath, though the air is already too thick to breathe. The soot clings to your teeth, your tongue, your lashes. It worms into your nose and lines your throat. You inch upward, inch by aching inch, pressing the brush ahead of you, scraping, turning, twisting. Your fingers bleed. Your back cramps. The bricks are jagged in places, smooth in others. Some bear names scratched by desperate hands into the wall. You trace one with your finger, Tommy, aged 9. You wonder if he made it out. You don't cry. You can't. Tears would streak the soot and sting your eyes. So you keep going. Higher, narrower. At one point the shaft narrows so much you have to turn your head sideways just to pass. You pause, breath ragged, heart thudding in your ears. Then you push through at the top. Light glimmers faintly from the chimney pot. The world is a pinprick again. You shove the brush through the final bend. Ash and soot rain down onto your head, filling your ears. You cough, and the sound bounces against the walls like a trapped bird. When you finally emerge, legs first, the master is waiting. He grabs your ankle and pulls. You slide free with a sickening rasp. He checks the flue with a long rod, nods once, then moves on. You lie on the floor for a moment, unable to speak. Your chest rises in shallow waves. Your face is blackened beyond recognition. Your clothes are torn. Your skin burns. The maid brings you water. You sip it in silence. She turns away before you finish. Outside, the cart is waiting again. Another house, another chimney. You do not ask how many more. You do not ask anything at all, because you are small, and small is useful, and useful means alive, at least for now. The house is warm. That's the first thing you notice. Not just warmer than the outside, but warm like ovens, like baking bread, like the feeling of being held, the kind of warmth that people in your world don't get by accident. The air smells of polish and lavender and roasting meat, and for a brief moment you let yourself breathe it in, but only for a moment, because warmth in this place is not for you. You are here as a scullery child, taken on trial, the mistress had said, though her eyes never truly settled on your face. The cook had looked at you more closely, had measured. Your shoulders, your hands, your height, with a frown that told you she already knew what you could not do. Still, they kept you. For now, your bed is in the pantry. Not in it, really beside it. Next to sacks of flour and jars of vinegar, you curl up each night on a mat stuffed with rags. The walls don't leak here. The mice are quiet. There are no screams in the street. But it is not peace. Your days begin before the sun, before the mistress rings her bell, before the cook has even rubbed sleep from her eyes. You are up on your knees, scrubbing the tiles of a kitchen floor that already shines. Water so cold it numbs your wrists, cloth rough enough to draw blood. You do not cry out. You learn quickly not to. The cook is heavy-handed and impatient. She smells of beef fat and wears her apron like armor. She does not hate you. That would be easier. She simply doesn't care. When you drop the tea canister, she slaps your ear hard enough to make it ring. When you burn your hand on the stove, she tuts and tells you to get back to work. You are not her concern. You are not anyone's. The mistress is worse. Not in action, but in presence. She glides through the halls like a swan through reeds, face powdered, voice cool and weightless. You carry trays to her parlor, silver domes glinting with foods you'll never taste. She never looks at you, not really. Her dog has a name. You do not. You meet the other servants in flickers downstairs, glances, hurried whispers in the corridor. The footman who never speaks, the housemaid who helps you hide a broken cup, the older girl with a scar above her eye who tells you, don't ever get caught listening, then vanishes before you can ask what she meant. One evening, you scrubbed the mistress's shoes, velvet with tiny pearls stitched across the toe. You've never touched velvet before. It feels like a lie, soft, rich, and utterly indifferent to. Your hands, your fingers are black with polish. Your back aches. The cook calls for you, and you leave the shoes gleaming like spilled ink. Dinner is not for you, not even the scraps. You eat what's left after the kitchen has been cleaned. Bread ends, broth with more water than meat. You chew quietly in the pantry, surrounded by silence and the scent of pepper and brine. At night, you stare at the ceiling and listen to the house breathing, to the fireplace crackling, to the slow, rhythmic steps of the master above, pacing as if the world owed him something. You listen to the sound of fine things happening behind walls. You dream once of a dining room filled with candles and music, of laughter that doesn't hurt to hear, of food that doesn't come with fear. But you wake to the pantry's cold breath against your face, and the ache in your knees reminds you what is real. One morning, you drop a bowl. It slips from your soapy hands and hits the stone floor. It doesn't break, but it chips. The cook's eyes go wide, then narrow. You brace. She doesn't scream. She doesn't slap. She takes your supper that night. Just that. And yet the hunger burns worse than any blow might have. You learn your lessons quickly. How to fold linens without creasing. How to dust without leaving trails. How to disappear when the family enters the room. You are learning to become invisible. The only moment of solace comes once a week, when the scullery window catches the late afternoon sun just right. For a few minutes, the light falls through the glass and lands on the floor in a perfect golden square. You sit in its warmth when no one is looking. You let it touch your face, and for that breath of time, you are not a servant, not a child, not anything broken or bent. Just warm. The clock begins before you do. Before your eyes even open, it is ticking, not in seconds or minutes, but in gears, in belts, in boots on gravel, in the coughs of children already on their way. You rise in darkness. The hearth in the cellar has long since gone cold, leaving only a faint curl of ash. You dress without light. The fabric is stiff with dried sweat and dust, but it does not matter. Nothing you wear will stay clean. Not here, outside. The air is still, soaked with the scent of rain and smoke. It is not quite morning, but already the streets are stirring. Men in flat caps, women with shawls drawn tight. But most of all, children, dozens of them heading toward the same place you are. The factory is a giant of stone and steel, its windows staring blankly down like the eyes of a god that does not blink. Chimneys jut from its spine, exhaling black spirals into a sky too weary to protest. You know every brick, every step leading to its iron doors. You have climbed them each day for so long, they feel like part of your own body. Inside, the warmth is not comforting, it is heavy, close, suffocating. The air hangs thick with cotton dust, which settles on your lashes and burrows in your throat. A bell clangs, not a sweet chime, but a hard, metallic cry. The shift has begun. Your station is between two machine-spinning frames that roar like beasts kept on chains. You feed threads through the mouths of iron rollers, your fingers never still, your eyes never straying. Too slow is to earn a glare. To stop is to be replaced. To make a mistake is to bleed. Beside you, a girl no older than 8 loses her balance. She brushes against a gear and yelps. Her sleeve is torn. Her arm follows. The overseer arrives, swears, and drags her away. You stare at the dark spot she leaves behind on the floor until it vanishes beneath more dust. No one speaks. The machines are too loud, and your thoughts are too fragile. Words break them. You work for 15 hours. 30 minutes for bread and water, eaten beside the latrine. You lean against a wall streaked with grease and close your eyes. Someone near you vomits. Someone else hums a lullaby, soft and broken. The foreman shouts, and the break is over. You return to the line. The threads tangle. Your fingers swell. The factory floor shakes with the rhythm of profit. You become part of it. Less a child than a cog. Less a soul than a pair of hands. There is no daylight inside. The lamps burn with yellow fire. The windows are grimed with soot and neglect. You do not know the hour. You do not care. There is only before the bell and after the bell. Your brother used to work here, before the chimney climb. He spoke of the factory once, just once said it lived in his dreams, clanking and grinding even while he slept. You understand that now another child disappears. You don't see it happen, but at the end of the shift, his coat still hangs on. The hook, dust collects on its shoulder like ash on an untouched grave. No one asks. At last, the final bell rings. Your muscles scream, your knuckles crack. You cannot remember what silence sounds like. You walk home with your shoulders rounded, your steps unsure. The city presses against you. The sky is dark now, but you do not lift your eyes to it. Inside the cellar, your mother offers a thin broth. You sip it slowly, letting it warm the inside of your chest. You do not speak. She does not ask. Your siblings are already asleep. The clock in the factory still turns. Even in your dreams, it turns. You hear it behind your eyelids, ticking in. The rhythm of your breath. Because the factory never sleeps, and neither, truly, do you. It begins with a cough. Dry at first, a short bark echoing off the cellar walls in the early dawn. You hear it before you see her, your sister, curled tightly beneath the blanket you both share, her body trembling with each breath. Her forehead glistens, not with sweat, but with something colder, a sheen of fever that has no warmth behind it. You touch her cheek. It is damp and hollow. She does not wake. Outside, the city is shivering. The rain has turned to sleet, and the rooftops drip with melting grime. London is drowning in its own breath fog, so thick it wraps itself around chimneys and alleys like a noose. Smoke pours from every factory and hearth, curling into lungs already too weak to resist. The air itself tastes ill. In the street, the coughing is everywhere. You hear it from windows, from doorways, from the mouths of children no older than you, voices rasping against the cold like matchsticks that refuse to light. A boy on crutches hacks so hard he drops his hat. No one picks it up. At the factory, the noise never stops, but beneath the roar of machines, the cough persists. From every corner, dry, wet, rattling, fading. The dust in the air seems thicker. Now you wipe your sleeve across your face, and it comes away grey. You wonder what colour your lungs are. A girl near you drops a spool. She bends to retrieve it, then does not rise. The overseer curses and waves her away. She stumbles toward the door, her steps uneven, her breath catching like a torn bellows. She never returns. No one talks about it. The sickness, they call it a chill, or a passing cold, or simply nothing at all. Words are dangerous. Words make things real. You come home that evening to silence, the kind that settles in corners and doesn't move. Your mother is sitting beside your sister, wringing a cloth in her lap, over and over, though the basin is already empty. The baby's asleep. Your younger brother is staring at the wall. You kneel beside her. Her lips are blue, her breath shallow. You hold her hand until it slips from yours. There is no screaming, no weeping, just stillness, a kind of reverence, a kind of numb. You do not know how long you sit like that. Hours, maybe. The lamp runs dry, shadows stretch. Your mother's hand remains on the blanket, as if she can still feel her through it. Later, a neighbor helps carry the body to the parish hall. The priest says little. There is no coffin, just a cloth and a cart and a hole. You return home, but the cellar is not the same. Her breath is no longer there to warm the corner. Her laughter, rare as it was, no longer echoes. Her absence is louder than her presence ever was. The factory expects you the next day. You go, you do not speak. Your hands move by memory dot around you, more disappear. A boy named Henry, a girl with braids, the woman who sold meat pies at the corner. Gone, their names, if they are spoken at all, are spoken softly, behind doors, between clenched teeth. You learn to breathe shallow, to keep your scarf pulled tight, to press your lips together when the dust rises. But it finds its way in. It always does. Your chest begins to ache, a heaviness beneath your ribs. Not pain, not yet. Just pressure, a reminder. One night, you wake choking, not on tears, on air that refuses to come. You sit upright, gasping, clawing. At your collar, your mother rushes to your side with water. You drink, and the tightness loosens, just a little. She says nothing, just holds your hand until the shaking stops, in the dim light. You see her face creased with worry, with exhaustion, with the weight of losses she cannot carry, and still must. You do not ask if you will get better. She does not say that you will, because, in this city, children disappear, not in screams or fire, but in coughs that never end. And now the sickness is inside you, too. It is raining again. Not a dramatic storm, not a roaring deluge, just a soft, steady weeping from the clouds. London's sky seems tired of holding anything in. The drops patter onto the stone like whispered apologies, washing soot into streams that trickle along the gutter's edge. You walk with your collar up, shoulders hunched, arms folded tightly across your chest, not for modesty, for warmth. You haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Not really. A crust of bread offered by a boy outside the workhouse, gates dry, stolen, still warm from someone else's mouth. You took it with a nod. You didn't thank him. You both understood. Your feet hurt. The left boot has a hole in the sole, and your toes are wrapped in scraps of cloth torn from an old chemise your sister once wore. The cloth is damp now, slick with rain and street filth. With each step, the world seeps closer to your skin. You pass the same corners, the same broken lamppost, the butcher with the crooked sign, the alley where two boys once fought over an onion. Familiar misery. The city loops around itself like a snake eating its tail. Then you see her. She is standing beneath an awning, wrapped in a shawl of soft green wool, its threads pulled loose in places. Her bonnet tilts forward, veiling her face in shadow. She holds a parcel in one hand and a small, spotted umbrella in the other. A basket rests at her feet. She doesn't look like someone from your world, but neither does she flinch at yours. You meet her eyes for a moment, just one. You lower your gaze quickly, already moving past, but then you hear it, the sound of cloth against cloth, of steps. Behind you, here, you turn, slowly, cautiously. She extends a hand, in it, an apple, shiny, red, real, not bruised, not half-eaten, not laced with fear. You hesitate. The city has taught you that kindness is often bait, but there is no sharpness in her eyes, no pity either, just quiet, a stillness so rare it feels foreign. You reach out, fingers trembling, and take the apple. Its skin is cold and smooth, and for a moment you do not know what to do. You want to run, you want to cry, you want to sink to your knees and bite into it until your teeth ache. But instead, you nod. Not a thank you, just a nod. She nods back. Then she turns, lifts her umbrella, and disappears into the rain. You do not follow. You do not ask her name. You stand there for a moment, listening to the water drip from the rooftops, the muffled clatter of carts, the shuffle of feet in puddles. The apple in your hand is heavier than it should be, not because of its size, but because of what it carries. You take it to the steps of a boarded-up church, and you sit. You polish it on your sleeve, gently, reverently, until it shines. Then, you bite it as tart, crisp, alive. Juice runs down your chin. You close your eyes and chew slowly. You try to make it last. For that moment, you are not just a body moving through smoke and grime. You are not just hunger. You are not just cold. You are someone a stranger saw. You are a child with an apple. Later, you return to the cellar. Your mother is asleep beside the baby. Your brother is coughing softly in the corner. You place the core on the shelf beside your bed. Not to eat again, but to remember. Because in a world where cruelty is the rule, kindness is a kind of rebellion. And even when it comes silently, without name or promise, it plants something in you, something that survives. The workhouse smells of soap and sorrow, not the sharp, clean soap of the rich, but the coarse lye kind that scrapes at the skin and leaves behind a film of defeat. You know the scent well. It clings to your clothes even after you leave. as if the building refuses to let go. This morning, the sky is a dull pewter, pressing low over the city. The streets gleam with last night's rain, and the workhouse windows are filmed with condensation from so many lungs exhaling together in silence. You walk the familiar steps, through the iron gate, across the gravel path, into the tiled corridor where your name is a number and your voice is worth less than bread. You join the others in the common. Whole rows of children hunched over tin bowls, eating something thin and grey. You sip slowly, not from caution but from habit. To finish too quickly is to invite hunger back sooner. The room is always quiet, too quiet for so many bodies. Whispers are discouraged. Laughter is punished. And yet, on this morning, something unusual happens. A sound, soft, fragile, almost not there singing it, comes from the far end of the hall, where the windows crack and the benches creak. A girl sits with her head down, hands folded neatly in her lap. Her hair is matted, and her shawl is torn at the shoulder, but her voice is whole. You recognize the tune. A lullaby, old and threadbare, passed through mouths like cloth passed between hands. You heard it once, long ago. Maybe your mother hummed it. Maybe it came from a neighbor's window when you were very small. The song drifts over the hall like a ribbon caught on the wind. At first, no one reacts. Then a boy beside you lifts his head. Another stops chewing. Still, she sings. Her voice is not loud, not trained, not perfect, but it carries. Somehow, it carries. You close your eyes. For a moment, the workhouse disappears. The scraping spoons, the damp stone, the overseer's heavy boots all fade. And in their place, warmth, the memory of a lap, the brush of fingers against your hair, a hand stroking your back until sleep came. You do not cry, but you feel something rise behind your eyes. Something old. The overseer clears his throat, loud, threatening. The girl stops. Silence returns, thick and watchful. No one speaks. No one looks her way. She folds her hands tighter, lowers her head, and continues eating. The spell breaks, but not completely, because you heard it. You all did. Later, when chores begin and the buckets are passed out, you catch a glimpse of her in the corridor. She is scrubbing the floor, her knees red with cold. You want to say something, anything, but the words fail you. So you kneel nearby and begin to scrub. She does not look up, but she hums. Just once, a single note, and it is enough. The day passes, as all days do, sweeping, washing, folding. The rhythm of repetition, but the melody stays with you. It weaves through. Your thoughts like thread through cloth, appearing and vanishing, but always there, that night. You lie on your cot in the dormitory, staring at the ceiling. Dozens of other children breathe beside you, each one wrapped in their own silence. You listen closely. There it is again. The girl, humming softly, just for herself, or maybe for all of you. You close your eyes, and for the first time in weeks, you dream not of work or hunger or cold, but of music. There are days when even the soot seems tired. It drifts lazily from the rooftops, slower than usual, as if reluctant to stain what little light the morning offers. You crouch near the hearth of the cellar, poking at a lump of coal with a broken spoon, trying to stretch the flame. The air is too cold to speak. Your breath curls upward like the memory of a whisper. Today is not for the factory, not for the workhouse. Today is Sunday again, a day with no promises, but fewer orders. You are home. If that's what you can call the cellar, where the walls sweat and the mold forms shapes like forgotten maps. Your hands, cracked and stained, are busy, folding, creasing, tearing gently. Bits of newspaper, old, yellowed, ink-slick become. Skirts, sleeves, hats. The paper dolls come to life beneath your fingers. Each one a character, a story. One wears a bonnet, another a cape. One holds a book made from the corner of a bakery advert. Your siblings gather near, drawn by the quiet. The baby coos from the cradle box. Your brother leans over your shoulder. Your younger sister reaches out to touch the doll with the feathered ink hat. You let her. There is no wood for a toy horse, no coins for marbles, but this costs only time and patience, and imagination, which they haven't managed to take from you yet. You arrange the dolls on the floor, build a little theatre from broken crepe planks and biscuit tins. The curtains are scraps of cloth from a ruined petticoat. The stage glows with the light of a single candle, casting long, wobbly shadows against the stone wall. And then the stories begin. You do not speak them aloud, there's no need. Each gesture of the dolls, each slight move, tells more than words. One becomes a queen who rules with kindness. Another is a soldier who sings rather than fights. A child wanders the forest and finds not wolves, but laughter. For a moment, everyone is quiet. Not the hollow quiet of fatigue, but the sacred kind, the silence of listening. Even your mother stops her mending to watch. Her eyes look tired but soft. The baby laughs, clapping at a gesture he does not understand. This moment, fragile, makeshift, is yours, but pretend does not last. The candle gutters, your brother sneezes. Your mother reminds you there's still water to fetch, still clothes to rinse. You gather the dolls carefully, wrap them in a strip of linen, hide them behind the coal bucket. You know better than to leave them out. Later, at the pump, you pass the local constable. He eyes you, then the bucket, then the rags on your arms. You lower your gaze. He says nothing, neither do you. Back home, the coal is gone. Your mother shakes her head. The last of it burned too fast. You offer to go looking, though it's late. She hesitates, then nods. You walk the alleys, eyes searching the gutters for something black and solid. You find a bit, more jagged, just enough to warm the air for an hour. As you return, you pass a window with glass intact. Behind it, a child plays with a doll in a lace dress, store-bought painted face, gilded shoes. The girl does not see you. You watch her for a moment, then walk on at home. You place the coal in the great light, and sit. You do not bring out the paper dolls again tonight, not because you are tired, but because the stories feel too tender. And tonight, your heart is already full. The first snow does not come with fanfare. No cheers from children, no crackling fires, or rosy-cheeked joy. It comes in silence, drifting like ash through the morning fog. You notice it only when you wake to the sound of nothing, no cartwheels, no footsteps, not even the usual hacking coughs rising from the alleyway. The world has been muffled. You climb from your blanket slowly, breath visible in the dim air. Your body stiff with cold. The cellar feels sealed by frost. Your mother's hands, chapped and red, are already coaxing flame from damp coal. The smoke coils upward, mixing with your breath. She nods at you, and you rise. Outside, the streets are whitewashed in uneven patches, dirty snow already turning to slush, where the boots have trampled. Rooftops where crooked hats of powder and icicles hang like fangs from eaves. The Thames moves sluggishly under its film of thin ice, groaning quietly beneath its weight. You head toward the bridge, not because you must, but because today, for this morning, the factory is closed. The overseer claimed it was the machinery. You suspect it was the deaths. 3 children gone in 1 week. All small, all coughing. The kind of losses they can't ignore forever. So you walk, your boots crunch on the frozen mud. A man passes with a shovel tied to his back and frost in his beard. A group of boys throw snow clods at one another, too hard to be playful. You dodge them and keep moving, hands buried deep into your sleeves. The bridge stretches out before you like a path into another world. The river's surface is mottled, cracked, pocked with air holes like the face of the moon. Still, you step out onto it carefully, slowly. Each step creaks. You are not alone. Other children walk across the frozen river. Some test the edge. Others skate on strips of metal tied to their boots. Laughter rises for the first time in days raw, unpracticed but real. For a brief moment, the city is transformed. The smoke is gone. The sounds are different. You take a running step, then another. Your feet slip. You laugh despite yourself. The cold slices through your coat, but your face burns with something else. Movement, wind, a strange and sudden sense of freedom. You slide until you fall. The ice bruises your hip, but you smile. You cannot help it. A girl helps you up, no older than you, with freckles across her nose and gloves 2 sizes too big. She doesn't speak, just offers her hand, then vanishes into the white again. You sit on the riverbank and watch. Boys racing, girls tumbling, a stray dog chasing snowflakes as if they were prey. You close your eyes and feel the cold, not as cruelty, but as clarity. The moment does not last. By dusk, the snow hardens into crust. The play ends. The wind sharpens. The laughter dies. That night, back in the cellar, the frost bites deeper. Your mother wraps the baby in 2 coats. Your brother doesn't eat. Your sister stares at the wall in the morning. A neighbor's child is found stiff in his bed, frozen as the bucket beside him. The snow stays for weeks. It settles into the corners of the city like a permanent guest. Fires become rarer. The soup thinner. One day, you walk past the bridge again. No one is playing. The river is grey, the ice too brittle now to bear weight. A boy's scarf lies frozen in a puddle. You do not pick it up. You remember sliding, though, and the girl with the too big gloves. And for that, the snow was not only sorrow, it was something else too. It begins with chalk. White, broken bits of it stolen from schoolyards, pilfered from workhouse desks, or found at the bottom of old crates left behind by moving carriages. You find the boy in the alley behind the bakery, crouched low beside a brick wall, his fingers dusted like a miller's. His knees are patched. His coat is a patch itself, but his eyes are bright with something the cold has not touched. He draws ships with sails full of wind, castles with 100 windows, men in tall boots and feathered hats. He sketches with speed, bold lines forming. Stories no one else can see until they are already there. You stop a few paces away and watch. He does not notice you at first. His hand moves fast, faster than thought, as though the pictures already live in the wall and he is just uncovering them. When he glances up, You like it? You nod. I'm going to be famous, he says. Not with arrogance, but certainty, like someone stating the weather. I'll paint the Queen's carriage, and the theatre, and all the walls they won't let me touch yet. You say nothing, but he smiles anyway. He moves aside, pats the ground beside him. Draw something, you shake your head. You've never drawn, you barely write. He shrugs and returns to his ship. Over the next few days, you find yourself returning. You never plan to, but your feet always seem to lead you there past the butcher, around the alley bend, to the brick wall that changes every morning. One day, there's a dragon, the next, a sky full of stars. Another time, he's scrawled a great table with bowls and bread and candles that flicker even though they are only chalk. He says it's what Christmas should look like. Sometimes he sings while he drops low, tuneless songs that seem to come from deep inside his coat. Times he speaks without warning. My mum used to draw. Not walls though, paper, real paper. Had colored pencils and everything, but they burned up in the fire. He doesn't explain the fire. You don't ask. One day, you bring him a broken bit of charcoal from the hearth. He holds it like it's gold. Black's good, he says. Make shadows. That day, he draws. A doorway, not just a square with a knob, but a grand arch with vines growing up the sides. He says it's a door to a different world. You ask what's on the other side. He taps your forehead. Whatever you want, you laugh. A quiet sound, but real. Then, one morning, he's not there. The wall is blank, scrubbed clean. You wait. You check again in the evening. Nothing, just grey bricks and the smell of yeast from the bakery the next day. You find a new drawing further down, behind a different building. A simple thing. A figure, small, standing before a massive blank wall, and above it, words, still drawing, even when no one sees. You sit beside it for a long time. You never ask his name. He never asks yours. But in your pocket, you keep a sliver of chalk now, wrapped in cloth. And sometimes, when no one is looking, you draw not because you want to be famous, but because someone once showed you how. It starts with a bowl, porcelain, chipped at the rim, still warm from the morning's thin porridge. The girl who holds it walks carefully, slowly, the way one walks with something that might save them. But her hand trembles, her fingers slip, the bowl falls. It breaks. The sound is sharp in the silence more than clay shattering. It is like a window cracking in winter. Everyone hears it. Everyone freezes. You are seated nearby, your own bowl balanced in your lap, half finished. The porridge is sticky and bland, but hot, and that is enough. You look up, the girl's face drains of color. Her mouth parts, then closes. She looks at the pieces like they've betrayed her. The overseer steps forward. Her boots echo. She picks up a piece of the broken bowl, examines it as if expecting it to apologize. Then her gaze turns. There is no shouting, just a slap. Quick, brutal, and practiced. The girl stumbles. Her lip splits. No one moves. No one speaks, except you. Stop. The word leaves your mouth like a bird startled into flight. It surprises even you. It hangs in the air, louder than the slap, heavier than silence. All eyes turn. The overseer narrows hers. What did you say? You swallow. Your heart is hammering. Your limbs feel hollow. But you say it again. Stop. There is no applause, no uprising. No other voice joins yours. But the slap does not come again. Instead, the overseer stares for a long time, as if weighing the worth of punishment. Then she speaks. Clean it up, both of you. The girl still does not speak. She kneels. You kneel beside her. Together, you gather the shards, dropping them into a pail one by one. You feel every scrape of porcelain against your fingers. You feel her breath, uneven, close to sobbing. When you finish, the overseer says nothing more. She walks away. The room slowly breathes again. Spoons clatter. Footsteps resume. But something is different. Later, in the hallway, a boy nods at you. Just once, another girl presses a crust of bread into your hand without a word. Small things, quiet things, but not nothing. The girl you defended still says little. She sits beside you in the yard during break. You both watch the clouds. She hums a tune you don't know. You do not become a hero. You are not treated differently. By the overseers, you still scrub the same floors, still carry the same buckets, still sleep on a mat thinner than your patience. But inside you, something has shifted. Not everything must be swallowed. Not every cruelty must be borne in silence. That night, you lie awake and replay the word. Stop. You said it once. Maybe you'll say it again. Maybe, one day, you'll say more. The church stands at the edge of the street like a forgotten sentinel, its stone skin weathered by soot and years. The bell tower leans slightly, and the stained glass is cracked in places, but the door still opens. You push it gently, and it groans with the weariness of too many winters. Inside, it smells of wax, dust, and something softer like parchment warmed by hands. You don't come here for prayers. You stopped praying when your sister died and no miracle came. You come for the woman who waits beneath the broken bell. She is not young. Her hair is grey, pulled back in a braid that looks like silver rope. Her hands are calloused, her dress plain, her shoes scuffed, but her eyes are gentle, like candlelight in a cellar. She motions for you to sit. You do, cross-legged. On the stone floor, a scrap of paper in your lap, a stub of pencil clutched in your fingers. Let's begin, she says. She teaches you slowly. One sound at a time. A becomes R, B becomes bar. Your tongue stumbles over the unfamiliar shapes. Your hand aches from gripping the pencil too tightly. But you do not stop. Each letter is a door, a crack in the wall, a lantern lit in the dark. You trace them with care. You are not alone. A few others come, 2 children like you, ragged, tired, cautious. Some don't return, some do. The woman never asks why. She only continues. One day, she brings a book. It is torn, the spine broken, the cover faded. But inside are stories, real ones, printed in neat black rows. She points to a word. Hope. You sound it out, slowly, haltingly. She nods. You don't know what the story is about yet, but the word stays with you. At home, you try to copy the letters onto the wall of the cellar. Your mother watches, quiet. Your brother squints at the shapes. What's it say? He asks. Hope, you whisper. He nods, like he understands. Maybe he does. You begin to write other things. Your name, your sister's name. Words from signs you've seen but never known. Baker milk, church. The world begins to shift no longer. Just images and guesses, but meanings. At the workhouse, you see the rules on the wall and begin to read them. You catch a line in a newspaper used to wrap someone's lunch. You mouth the words beneath your breath. The letters are no longer strangers. They are becoming yours. One evening, the woman gives you a sheet of paper. Write anything, she says. You stare at the blank page. It frightens you. But then you begin. Slowly, clumsily. A letter. Dear sister. I remember your song. I remember your hands. I am learning to write so I can say your name. You give the letter to no one. You fold it, place it beneath your mat. You return to the church, again and again, even when your feet blister, even when the sky threatens rain, because here, for 1 hour each week, you are more than a servant, more than a scullery boy, more than a number. You are someone who can read, someone who can write, and perhaps someday someone who can tell their story. The letter comes on a Wednesday, folded 3 times, ink faded, carried by a thin man in a wide coat, who says your name with a question in his voice. He hands it to your mother, but she does not read. She looks to you, and you slowly, carefully sound out the words. You're being sent away, not punished, not exiled, placed. That's the word they use. By order of the parish and the charity society. An apprenticeship in the countryside. A farmer in Sussex needs a hand. He has no sons. The factory no longer needs so many of you. Fewer mouths, fewer coughs. You pack your things in silence. A shirt, a pair of socks, a bit of bread wrapped in cloth, and the chalk the boy with the drawings once gave you. Your mother sews a button onto your coat. It does not match. She presses it flat with her thumb, then kisses your forehead. It feels strange. You leave at dawn, before the sky has decided what color it will be. The coach rattles down the frozen lane, hooves clattering, wheels bouncing over every stone. The city fades behind you, slowly, stubbornly, as if reluctant to let you go. The countryside arrives like a breath you didn't know you were holding. Trees without smoke, roads with puddles clear enough to reflect the sky, fields that roll like waves beneath the clouds. It is too quiet. You cannot hear boots or bells or the factory's roar. You feel the silence like a weight pressing against your ears. The farm is smaller than you imagined. A cottage, a barn, a garden with frost-bitten rows. The farmer is old, but not unkind. His eyes are the color of muddy water, and he walks with a limp. He does not speak much. He shows you where to sleep, an attic with a straw mattress and a view of the field. Your first morning, he wakes you by tapping the doorframe with his cane. You rise quickly, instinctively. Habits die hard. You clean the stalls, carry water, muck the pigs. The work is hard, but it is different. It smells of hay and manure instead of soot and blood. Your fingers blister in new places. Your legs ache from bending, but you breathe easier. The air is colder, but cleaner. The nights are long. No voices, no coughing, no shouting. Just the wind through the eaves and the creak of the house settling. You lie awake, staring at the rafters, tracing the cracks with your eyes, letting your thoughts wander further than the walls. You write letters to no one. Scratch words into the backs of old feed sacks. The trees are tall here. I saw a fox. The stars are brighter when no one else is watching. One day, the farmer gives you a lantern and tells you to feed the chickens before dusk. You light it to yourself. The glow is soft, golden. It warms your hands. You feel something shift in your chest. Not joy, exactly, but room. You do not miss the city. Not yet, but you remember it. In flashes, the girl's song in the workhouse, the chimney climb, the paper dolls, the apple in your hand. You begin to forget the sound of the factory bell. You begin to sleep without waking in panic. You begin to think of tomorrow, not with dread, but with curiosity. You are not healed, not yet. But you are no longer breaking. You are learning how to be quiet without being afraid. The night is still. No distant wheels. No shouting drunks. No moaning pipes, only the wind, whispering through hedgerows and rattling the frostbitten branches of an old ash tree near the house. The world has gone to sleep without fear. You lie in bed and listen. The straw mattress creaks beneath you as you shift, pulling the wool blanket tighter. It is not fancy, not soft knot, what the wealthy wrap themselves in, but it is warm, truly warm. Not just the memory of heat, not the illusion of closeness, but a steady, steady warmth that holds your body like a second skin. You bury your nose into the cloth. It smells faintly of lavender and something earthy, like damp hay or dried thyme, a scent that does not burn the lungs or cling like coal smoke. You take a slow breath and let it fill you. It is the first night in your memory when your toes are not curled against the cold, when your fingers do not ache, when you are not sleeping in your boots. You stare at the rafters above rough-hewn beams, blackened with age, carved with initials from boys who slept here before you. One is dated 1826, another just a few years past. You run your fingers over your own chalk, now faint on the wall. One day, perhaps someone else will trace it. The farmer does not know what this night means to you. He simply handed you the extra blanket earlier that evening, saying only, "It'll be colder now." You nodded, biting the inside of your cheek. Thank you was too small a word. You'd spent the day lifting hay bales and gathering wood, breath fogging in the air, legs heavy, arms burning. But the ache of labor is different here. It does not come with bruises or fear. You do not shrink from it. You meet it. There's a single candle flickering on the crate beside your bed, its flame swaying as the wind presses softly at the glass panes. You watch the light move across the ceiling, golden shadows that dance like memory. And suddenly you are small again, back in the cellar, sharing one blanket among four, listening to your sister cough in the dark, pretending not to hear the silence when she stopped. The warmth now feels heavier. It carries the weight of absence, of moments that should have been, of bodies that never knew this peace. You close your eyes and try to remember her voice. You try to imagine what it would have felt like if she had one night like this. Just one. You whisper her name into the blanket. It disappears into the fabric. The candle flickers lower. The shadows fade. Sleep edges closer. And this time you let it come. You do not fight it. You do not fear it. You curl beneath the blanket, fully, deeply, and for the first time, truly the first you sleep. Not in hunger, not in fear, not as a child trying to survive, but simply as a child. The fire crackles softly in the hearth, the room thick with the scent of ash, wool, and the sweet smoke of applewood. Outside, the fields lie frozen and white, the garden stiff with frost, the sheep clustered beneath a lintel. Inside, you sit at the table, hunched over a piece of paper, a quill in your hand. Ink smudges your fingers. It has taken weeks to gather the courage, days to find the words. But tonight, with the wind low and the house quiet, you begin to write. You do not know who will read it. You do not care. The letter is not for the farmer, nor the priest, nor the schoolmaster. It is for someone you once were. You write, "Dear you, I remember everything. The way your feet ached after the chimney climbs, the way the workhouse smelled after rain, the cold mornings, the hunger, the silence, the apple in your hand, the doll made of paper, the boy who drew ships on brick walls. You were brave when no one asked you to be, brave in ways that left no scars to see, but shaped you all the same. I know you thought you would never be warm again, that the coughing would take you like it took the others, that no one would hear your voice if you used it. But I hear you now. I remember the girl who sang in the dormitory. I remember the first word you ever read, hope. I remember the moment you said stop, even though your knees shook. And I remember the night you lay beneath a wool blanket and didn't dream of frost. You made it through, not by luck, not by grace, but by choosing to keep breathing even when the air was thin. You were never nothing. Not then, not now, you mattered. You still do. You pause, let the ink dry. The candle burns low, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. You stare at the words, hands folded on the table, chest rising slowly. You fold the paper carefully. Even though there is no envelope, you do not seal it. You do not post it. You rise, open the door, and step into the cold. The stars are out. Thousands of them. More than you've ever seen. You walk to the edge of the field, letter clutched in your hand. A gust of wind tugs at it, but you hold on. Then, slowly, deliberately, you release. The paper lifts, flutters, catches the wind, and disappears. You do not need to see where it goes. It has done what it was meant to. You turn back toward the house, toward warmth, and as you close the door, behind you, you feel something settle in your chest, not like stone, but like soil, something that might grow. The train rattles across the countryside, its rhythm steady, its whistle long and low, like the cry of something ancient and restless. You sit near the window, the glass fogged with your breath, your fingers curled around the edge of your coat. The fabric is second-hand, but clean, wool-lined. You are warm. London approaches like a bruise reappearing on skin. Slowly, unavoidably, the soot thickens in the air. The buildings crowd closer. The chimneys rise, black as ever, exhaling memory. You step off at the station. The platform is loud with boots, voices, dogs. A boy in a cap offers to carry your bag. You shake your head. You carry it yourself. Your feet move with instinct, tracing the route your younger self once walked without choice. Past the market where fruit spoiled faster than it could be sold. Past the alley where you once slept beneath a broken cart. Past the ragged school, now boarded up. The sign still hangs, faded and sagging, like a forgotten promise. And then there it is, the street, narrow, uneven, unchanged. The cobblestones where your skin once blistered, the corner where you first saw, the chalk boy's drawings, the lamppost you leaned against when your breath was short and your belly empty. You stand still. The wind brushes against your face like an old hand. Everything looks smaller now. The buildings, the doorways, even the shadows. You walk slowly, your boots quieter than before. The cellar where you once lived is sealed. A slab of brick covers the entrance, but you remember the cracks in the wall, the smell of mildew, the sound of your sister's lullaby. You lower your head for a moment, let memory pass through you like breath. Further on, the bakery still stands. The smell is the same, sweet, rich, mocking. Children wait outside, coins clutched in chapped hands. And then you see her, a girl, no more than 7, bare feet on the stone. Coat torn at the sleeve, knees drawn to her chest, her hands cupped. In front of her, she looks up as you pass. Her eyes do not plead. They are past pleading. You pause, reach into your coat. Your fingers find the apple. Red, firm. You brought it from the farm. You kneel. You say nothing. No speech. No sermon. Just an outstretched hand. She hesitates, then takes Her fingers brush yours, cold but strong. She nods once. You nod back. Then you rise and walk on. You do not look back. You do not need to, because once someone had given you an apple, and now you have given one too. The years have quieted you, but they have not erased you. Your hands bear the in small scars, in the way your fingers still curl when the wind blows cold. Your back straightens slower now. Your breath catches sometimes when the air is damp. But you walk each day with purpose. With memory you live simply, not in the city, but not far. A small cottage with ivy on the walls and windows that catch the morning sun. The hearth is always lit in winter. The kettle always on. Children from the village pass your gate and wave. You wave back. Sometimes they stop. Sometimes they ask for stories. You give them a few. Not all. There are no portraits of you in galleries. No ledgers with your name printed bold. You were not mentioned in newspapers, nor recalled in the speeches of fine men, but in the silence of certain places and alleyways where chalk once danced. In workhouse corridors where voices once dared to hum you are there. You taught a few to read, quietly, in borrowed time, on scraps of paper beneath borrowed roofs. You kept a tin box beneath your bed, filled with folded letters you never sent. Some you wrote to your sister, some to the child you once were, some just to no one at all. Your name is not on the buildings that rose after the factories fell. It does not hang on the walls where philanthropists sit in polished rooms and discuss poverty over tea. But you are there still, in the stories of those who learnt not to be afraid of their own voice, in the hand that offered an apple, in the child who now says, "Stop," without trembling. You remember every face, the coughing boy with mismatched shoes, the girl who sang in the workhouse dark, the brother who carved knights from cratewood, the boy who drew doors in chalk. None of them remembered in history books. None of them named, but all of them lived. You lived, and more than that, you endured. There is power in survival, quiet though it is. There is a kind of victory in making it through without letting the cold steal everything from you. One day, they may dig up the records and see nothing but a line. Apprentice, orphan, laborer, but your true legacy is this: the warmth passed on, the kindness you carried, the silence you filled with something gentler. And now, in this story, someone has spoken your name, even if they never knew it. Thank you for walking this road with me. As the gaslights fade and the streets fall silent, once more, thank you for walking this long, forgotten road with me. If this journey stayed with you, return again. There are more stories beneath the soot, more souls waiting to be remembered. Subscribe, if you wish, and let history whisper you to sleep again. Could you have survived a childhood like this? What chapter stayed with you most deeply? Have you ever met someone who reminded you of that child with chalk